2026 is going to be a massive season for Formula One. The teams are tasked with completely overhauling their cars with brand new engines and aerodynamics, potentially completely upsetting the established order in the sport, allowing any team to rise to the top. These new regulations have been met with plenty of skepticism, and some people have outright declared that they shouldn't even be allowed to change next season. The teams have given plenty of reasons they don't think they'll work, and now the FIA is starting to worry that they might have made a mistake. Today, I'll check out the evolving rules for next season as the FIA try to stop F1 embarrassing itself, and why some people think they shouldn't even be changing. So don't go anywhere. 2026's new rules have been in the works since Formula One last changed its rules in 2022. Work on the new engine regulations began before that as well. Writing a brand new rule set for the teams to work on is not an easy task. F1 cars are among the most complex vehicles in the world, and the FIA aren't just designing one car, they're designing rules that the teams have to design a car from. Those rules need to be vague enough that the teams have freedom to design something different and stop the grid having 22 identical cars from the very first race. At the same time, they need to identify any loopholes which could offer a team that finds those loopholes a big advantage. It is a very challenging task, especially with the engines that the sport is using next year. The increased electrical component of the new engines means that the aerodynamics of the cars need to produce less drag on the straights to stop the cars running out of electrical power. It's a tough balancing act to pull off, and as the 2026 season gets closer and closer, the FIA are losing confidence that they've got it right. Several drivers have spoken out after their first runs in the simulator. Max Verstappen was the first one 2 years ago, as did his team principal at the time, Christian Horner, followed more recently by Charles Leclerc, Alex Albon and Lance Stroll. The driver's fear is that F1's new era will become far more complex for fans and drivers alike, and that the series risks becoming more of a management exercise rather than pure racing. While the drivers and teams are worried, the FIA are saying that all the doom and gloom is over the top. FIA single-seater director Nicholas Tombazis elaborated on the main concerns in the paddock and stressed that the regulations are still a work in progress, something that is a little concerning just 6 months away from 2026's pre-season practice. In an interview with Autosport, Tombazis said, "Obviously, when you have a much bigger proportion of electrical power and a smaller proportion of ICE power, and you don't have batteries that are discharging over the entire race distance, then energy management becomes a bit more of a challenge. Now, the opportunity of these new cars for the participating manufacturers is to develop the batteries, the electrical systems, and so on. I think we'll see some innovation on the electrical side of the engine next year, which I think will be good. But clearly, there are some challenges with the energy management, and the noises that we hear are usually related to that. The worry of those in the know is that the engines next season will run out of electrical power at the end of some of the longest straights on the calendar. Places like Spa and Monza could see drivers having to manage the energy in their batteries rather than racing, meaning they could be lifting off very early because they simply don't have the electrical energy to carry on at full speed for the whole straight. Obviously, avoiding that happening is essential to the sport because we all want to watch drivers racing, not trying to manage their batteries better than their opponents." Tombazis is expecting, however, that things won't be as dramatic as portrayed by some of the drivers. "We haven't finished the rules yet in that respect," he added. "The rules are evolving, and we knew of these issues from day one. The moment you reduce one power and you increase the other one, we knew that there were issues to address. Changing the rules this close to the new season starting is far from ideal, but at the same time, the FIA have to do what they can to make the new rules the best they can be. However, rule changes aren't easy. It is far too late for the engine hardware to change. These engines have been in the works for years, and telling the teams they now need to install bigger batteries or using a 2-litre engine instead of a 1.6-litre is impossible. Any changes are more likely to be far less headline-catching, such as decreasing the rate electrical energy can be deployed at. The aim of any changes, which are coming, is to avoid what the FIA called unnatural things. It refers to the doomsday scenario outlined by Max Verstappen 2 years ago, with cars running out of electrical energy before the end of a lap, or drivers having to downshift on the straights to use their limited energy more efficiently. The FIA will do everything necessary to make sure that doesn't happen, Tombazis said. "We will absolutely, categorically, Make sure that they don't have to lift off in a particular area in order to do something with the energy or whatever. When they need to go faster, drivers will keep the pedal to the metal, as they say. All this talk about making changes does imply that the FIA are worried. They'll be getting information from the teams on engine performance and simulation data, and maybe there is something they've seen which scares them. When things start changing, then we'll know that behind the scenes, these regulations have gone wrong. Not everyone is convinced that they should have made changes in the first place though, with the current regulations being so short-lived and the racing still being fantastic, despite McLaren finding a significant edge this season. Before I talk about Dan Fallow's scathing review of the new regulations, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis on the current F1 season, then make sure to press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. This cycle of regulations that started in 2022 has been fantastic so far. In the first year, we saw Ferrari and Red Bull battle it out for the World Championships. Then at the start of 2023, Aston Martin threatened to take some race wins before McLaren started making gains. Despite the incredible dominance of Red Bull that season, it quickly waned, with Ferrari and McLaren making massive gains in 2024. Now we have McLaren at the top of the sport, but Red Bull and Mercedes have both managed to find race wins. Even more unexciting though is that some of the more uncompetitive teams can have outstanding weekends as well, underlined by Nico Hülkenberg's fabulous 2025 Silverstone podium. This season has been everything that the FIA wants: close racing, unpredictability, and the chance for any team to perform. McLaren have proven this year that there is still a lot of performance to be found in the current regulations as well. Former F1 aerodynamicist Dan Fallows, who previously served as head of aerodynamics for Red Bull Racing and as technical director for Aston Martin, has spoken out to say that the new rules have probably come too early. Fallows wrote in a column for racetech.com, praising the current regulations for how unpredictable they've been and how close the racing has been. He reckons that the FIA should have allowed them to run for at least another 2 years, as there is a lot of development that can still happen. Speaking about what could still happen, he said, "There are many other ways to add performance. Managing tyre temperature in race trim is critically important to allowing drivers to race at speed rather than underdriving to preserve tyre life. Thermal management prevents tyre sliding, particularly at the rear axle in corner entry, which is a common issue for cars at the limit of grip. Were we to continue with these current regulations in F1 for the next 2 years, and McLaren's development stagnated compared to the rest of the grid, it would struggle to get out of Q1 by the end of 2026. While Fallows is one of many who think these new regulations could be coming too soon or are a complete mistake, he is aware, as we all are, that there are problems with the current regulations as well. Fallows reflects all our feelings by saying that the current cars are too big and too heavy, and it's holding the sport back. The current cars are also far too reliant on DRS to overtake, which means overtaking at most track is only possible at the end of DRS zones. He also says that the cars all look very similar, a shame given the potential for the talented teams in F1 to innovate. Hardly a complaint about the quality of racing, but a fair point with many teams following the leaders with their design choices. Whether you like it or not though, the new regulations will be coming next season. Hopefully the FIA can make whatever changes are necessary to make the racing as close and exciting as possible, but it is a worry that those changes are coming this late. Are you worried though? Or do you trust the FIA to make the right decisions for Formula One? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.